Welcome to this segment where we're doing lessons from an entrepreneur. Listen, while setting up your business, normally a thrilling idea when you start, but sustaining it past the initial challenges of seed capital, structure, small profit margins can be quite daunting. Most entrepreneurs have considered shutting down, others have opted out and considered other ventures. Well, tonight we will delve into some of these conversations with Waithera Gaido, the founder and executive director of Alternatives Africa, to share some of the lessons that we need to learn and glean as we venture into the entrepreneurship journey. Welcome, Waithera Gaido.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps as a way of introduction, you have just mentioned that there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a trader.
Yes.
So what does Alternatives actually do with regard to that, with the entrepreneur?
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you for having me here.
Haribo.
It's always a great opportunity to speak about young entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurship. So just for some context and background on Alternatives, Alternatives is an accelerator for youth-owned micro and small enterprises. And what we have done is created what we call a youth enterprise development infrastructure, that we call it an affordable system. Our mission is actually to contribute to enterprise development for socioeconomic transformation. And we want to do that by building globally competitive brands. Now, you've asked me about a trader and an entrepreneur.
Oh, yes.
So a trader is basically someone who trades anything. Yeah, for them, they'll buy milk. It's like a kiosk. I buy milk, I sell to you. Yeah. At best, what I do is make it convenient that it's next to your house. An entrepreneur is a person who sees an opportunity. Yeah. Or a person who sees a problem and wants to solve it. Rather, in fact, not an opportunity, sees a gap that can be filled and wants to solve or fill that gap for a reward known as profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the social entrepreneur, it's not just about the reward of profit, but also to make an impact. Yeah. So one of our greatest challenges is that, as I was telling you, we are getting into entrepreneurship with the mindset of where do I make money? And that's why it's not working. Now, there are two kinds of entrepreneurs, at least in the African context. You've got the necessity entrepreneur and you've got the opportunity entrepreneur. A necessity entrepreneur is the person who has not gotten a job, but they see a gap or they see a problem and they say, let me solve this as I wait to get a job. So regardless of whether this business will do well or not, they'll act, the moment they get the job, they let go of it because their intention was just to do it while I wait. But an opportunity entrepreneur is in it for a vision fulfilled. Yeah. And so for that reason, for them, they are willing to go the long haul.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell us about how you go about identifying these entrepreneurs that you work with, and the mindset that somebody has when they do any business, for example, for 2-3 years. It's not making profit as much. It's not making sense economically, and so they let it go. How do you come in?
Okay. So Alternatives is 9 years old. And Alternatives, I started Alternatives as a youth. Yeah. And it was not my idea. My academic and professional background is not private sector. It was purely assignment. God said, and I went. And what I will say is this, and maybe they will not be happy to hear this. First and foremost, you need to first be clear as a Christian, what does God want you to do? Yeah. If you send yourself, you will have to sustain yourself because God's provision is for his vision. Yeah. Now, I will also say that For every generation, yeah, every generation has a challenge. And rather, every generation has an assignment. And that assignment poses as a challenge. For this generation, it's unemployment. Because, of course, as the statistics show us, we are not creating enough, we don't have enough entrepreneurs creating enough jobs to uptake, the numbers of people being released into the labor market.
Yes.
However, that also shows that there's a lot of opportunities. I like to say that we are drowning in an ocean of opportunity. Yeah. However, you cannot look for opportunities based on which one will help me make money, because you're sending yourself. That has nothing to do with God, because when God created you, he gave you purpose and he equipped you for that purpose. So it's like a cup trying to be a plate and saying it's because plates are making money, so let me be a plate. But you're designed to be a cup.
Of course, now there, when you start speaking like that, people start asking, so how do I go about identifying what should I then do? Because see, we are a net net total of what we see around us. For example, you see a young boy waking up and saying, I want to be like a tout, a makanga, because that is what perhaps his environment has conditioned him to see. So how do I go about identifying this is what I should be doing? This is what I should be driving myself and my passion and my efforts towards.
Melissa, did I also say that I'm a youth enterprise evangelist?
Yeah.
Look, it's about kingdom identity, kingdom purpose, and kingdom influence. Simply put, you are not supposed to conform to the patterns of this world. Okay? And someone will wonder, what does this have to do with business? It is because you are created equipped to do something. And you have already, God has a roadmap, a plan, a purpose for good, to give you a future and to give you hope. When you align to that, you can rest assured he already knows who you need to meet, where you need to. He's equipped you with the mind. He gives you the power to make wealth. So, for example, if I go to back to alternatives, alternatives is an ecosystem for young entrepreneurs. When I say it's an ecosystem, it's open to any young entrepreneur. We started at community level. Yes. To be precise, Kamulu, with young, actually we started with all youth, then we realized it's better to focus on young entrepreneurs for reasons which maybe some other time, so we can stick to the topic. And then they said, okay, fine. You've taught us business. Our minds are transformed. Yeah, we feel more confident. We see value in who we are, first and foremost. Because if you don't see value in who you are, I don't see how you'd add value to a product. Yeah. However, how will we get money? And we were like, oh, there's Wezo Fund, there's Youth Fund, and etc. They said, no. If that's what you're coming to tell us, no. Hence because of the processes.
Hence the problem of capital. People keep saying, I want to start this biashara and I have no seed capital to start it off.
Precisely. So we started a circle. I'll save you the details of starting up a youth circle. Then when we had the youth circle, we go to Dandora and we are doing a training. We have a training called the Alternatives Community Entrepreneurship and Employability Training. And this training had kids living in the streets who are in business and graduates in the same class. They all have the same problem. They don't understand business, basically business skills. And they told us, okay, now you've taught us. And we realized what they were doing. They would hide their books when they were coming. And so we asked, why do people pocket you? They said, people can't know that we are coming to class. Especially if we are not being paid, what are we trying to prove?
Oh, wow.
So we realized that young entrepreneurs need their own community. They need a place where they encourage each other, where they exchange information, where they can transact, And there we formed the Alternatives Intercounty Young Entrepreneurs and Professionals Association.
So to borrow from that, you're saying then, an entrepreneur standing alone by themselves will most likely not succeed or not even make the...
Let me tell you, it's an uphill. Entrepreneurship, there is no man who's an island. That is why it's called a value chain. It's a chain of different people adding value at different nodes. So one is producing, another one is processing, another one is packaging, another one is purchasing. You see, so we all need each other. And you need to know where you're most valuable. And you need to be in a space whereby you're all being able to identify what are your opportunities and what are your challenges. So, for that reason, we also have the youth economic dialogues, where young people in business are able to come together with the private sector and senior people in government and be able to discuss policy, legislation, and regulation.
So most of the times that we find people coming together would be in settings like SACCO or, in a chama where you're coming together to put in money together. And once that purpose is over, we pass.
Yes.
And networking forums are high end, so to speak. We, classify them as high end things, and yeah. So talk about that a bit more, especially on the need to network, not only for money purposes, but for also growth and opportunities and,
Now, if we look at networking, there's something I read, and it might discourage many people from networking, but that's not the point. If you network, for those who've networked for a long time, for years, many people do. If you took all those cards you collected in those networking meetings, and you said, from this one, I made $10, from this one, I made $500, at the end of the day, after you tabulate, how much have you made from each and every one of those business cards? It's unfortunate, but more often than not, it can even be zero. So networking without purpose is a problem. You just don't go looking for, you might as well stand in the street and tell, give me your business card. Because at the end of the day, you have to be intentional. And that is why we created an ecosystem. Because in an ecosystem, you have time, it's sustainable. You have time to get to know each other. Right now, we have entrepreneurs we can literally measure their growth over 8 years, because all these platforms are, by the way, at least 8 years old. The SACCO is 8 years, the IEPA, and then there's the AgroHub, because agriculture is the one that will create most employment. You know, you need a farmer 3 times a day, regardless of who you are, at least 3 times a day. Anything else, maybe even once in a lifetime. So what I would tell young people to do is this, and especially because we're in a Christian station, you need to discover what are your gifts, your skills, and your talent. I'm going to tell you, Melissa, that we ignore that which God has already given to us because it comes so easy, and someone told us we are meant to suffer. You know? So you braid so well, but you don't want to braid because it's not the in thing to braid.
Not the in thing to, yes.
Yet if you take that braiding and come up with a nice product, which these days you can learn from YouTube, a good name, brand, register it as a business name. So that 5 years from now, you can say, my business is 5 years old. And then you'll also have an account, a business account. Join a circle, get into an organized system. Because then, for example, even though Alternatives is an accelerator, it's also an aggregator. So when we aggregate young people, because of the economies of scale, we are able to get you better deals. Because we are going as a group. If you have a challenge, we are able to address it for you guys as a group. But if you go to government one,
it's hard, very hard.
It's hard.
It's actually
impossible. You get so frustrated. But we've solved challenges for young people through Alternatives. Alternatives also sits in the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. It sits in the Agricultural Sector Network. It also sits in the Finance, Trade, and
Investment
Network, FinTriNet, you know. And we've been part of these ecosystems, for example, KEPSA for 8 years, you know, and speaking and advocating for the young entrepreneur. And yes, it's been hard. Today, KEPSA does have a youth department, you know.
Wow.
ASNET also has a youth consideration, even in their strategic plans in the African agenda, you know. However, this is the challenge. We have to get organized, Melissa. We have to look at what is my gifting. If you look at any community, they have certain giftings. If you look at every individual, they have certain giftings. If you look at every country, they have certain giftings. It's called your comparative advantage. So if you want to start a business, They say, yes, you can get money from your friends, from your
Yeah, from your
family,
family.
you know, and I'm not going to say fools, but I've already said it, you know. People who will say, you know what, I know I'll not get this money,
Yeah,
but here,
chukwa.
jaribu, because it's about experience,
Yes.
you know. But at the end of the day, business is about, am I solving a problem? It's about, how am I going to be a solution and be rewarded as a solution? If you're only thinking of how I'm going to make money, imagine you'll just go around, because when this wind blows this way, you will go. That's where money. You remember the quail thing?
Yeah.
Then you stop, you go this way, now it's avocados. Unfortunately, unlike quails, they take years to grow, you know. So by the time yours are growing, they flooded the market, and Kenya is not the only country with avocado, you know. So you have to look at what has God equipped you with, because he already knows how you will make it. This platform right now, of course, the circle, you have to follow the bylaws, there are certain processes, but IAPA is just adding your name, it's free, because we see the value. We have hundreds of thousands and millions transacted in that group.
Awesome. I have a couple of questions here. Somebody, Caroline from Eldoret, asking, how can entrepreneurs overcome challenges like the recent blackouts? That's, shut us down for 24 hours. So how do we go navigating some of those challenges that are kind of beyond what we are possibly able to do? Are they beyond us? Really?
We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Amen.
So now, if we look, for example, at the blackout,
Yes.
yeah, one of the greatest ways we can circumnavigate that is solar energy. But the question is it available?
Is it available?
I don't know that you have noticed in the last few days, young people selling solar, panels
Yeah.
and all that, you know, you strike the iron while it's still hot, you know, but you have to look for other alternative, affordable ways. Is that available to everyone? It depends on your pocket. And that's why we tell young people, be part of a cooperative. And I'm very happy that the government is pushing that. Because, for example, like our circle, you save 35 bob per day. Right now, we are giving loans of up to 300,000. We started with 20,000. We started saving with 20 bob. We have money borrowed. Our loan book is now at 700,000. We have no investor or donor money. No. This is young people, 20 bob yako, 20 bob yangu, 20 bob yangu.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe in the young entrepreneur. Because like there's a girl who has progressively borrowed over 280,000 to build her school. And we have seen her students increase, you know. But she did not sit to all the time you're looking for big money. Start. What has God put in your hands? One, for sure, he has a skill and a gift for you. Number two, if he gave it to you, he knew how it can be financed. The thing is, start small. Start that mustard seed and allow it to grow. But if you're looking for quick make money schemes, I honestly
will fail.
I will disappoint. There is no response for that.
This conversation can really go on and on. Thank you so much, Waithera Gaido, the founder and director of Alternatives Africa, for this conversation that we have had. We probably will call you back to talk a bit more about how young people can tap into what you have on Alternatives and see how they can grow themselves past the 2-3 years of starting a business and thinking, I'm going to fail on this one. But you can hold their hand until they're at least 5-7 years, 8, and so on. Then they can see maybe our small biasharas can grow into enterprises. Thank you for coming.
And just to mention that, as I told you, we target young people between the age of 18 and 40. So if you join us at 18, you are part of an ecosystem for 22 years. Yeah. So we work with you. And even when you turn 40, you become a friend of Alternatives. So you're forever in it.
Yes.
So yes, there's a way out and there's opportunity, and they can check us out on our website. And if they reach out to you, we can. Yes.
Thank you so much.